Hello everyone, I'm Jiwen. Today's video is to share with you is the tuning method of piano pushing and the latest material update. There were many friends. After he received the piano, he looked at a pile of accessories. He didn't know where to start. So this video will teach you how to make good use of these accessories. Then find the feel that suits you best. So first of all, let's talk about how to disassemble this push row. When we open it, we will see that he has two screws fully unfolded. You can see two screws. Let's find a Phillips screwdriver first. Then unscrew the screw. What about the loosening of the screws because it has magnets on the side? This is a magnet, so it may attract it. So let's take a pair of tweezers and pick it up. It's forked here, right? Then we will turn it over, then press and hold here, and then pull it out, then it will open. Take the spring bead out of it. Set it aside, and there must be a plate underneath when the time comes, or a box to hold this part. Then we turn over and see that there is another screw. Then use a screwdriver to loosen it and turn it over the same, and then use your hands here. Press the hot iron out. Then you will find that there are two screws here. Because of a material like Teflon, it is relatively soft, so you need to add these two screws to fasten it. Then here we will continue to use this Phillips screwdriver to loosen it. Well, if that's the case, we have basically disassembled it. So let me introduce it to you. What does one of its structures look like? It's just a shell. Then this is the inner plate in the middle. And this is a central pillar, so what about when we are selling? Generally, this shell is matched with this middle column. That is to say, the shell is thin chip steel. Then the middle layer will be a thin steel shell. If it is PI, the middle layer is PIs. Then what you can choose is actually the inner plate in the middle. You can choose Teflon plates or stainless steel plates. You can also choose the PI version. Just choose according to your own needs. We can help you install and assemble it in the later stage. Then we'll install it back now. The installation steps are actually reversed. Then we can first install this board. Then we start installing our center column. Then you can see that it has two such bead grooves in the front and back. We'll put the springs and beads in there first. Then put it in. So first of all, let me introduce you to our spring. That spring, what we factory configure is, one of these two types of springs is 0.3 millimeters and 0.25 millimeters. If you can't tell the difference, just take it and pinch it. Try it. The 0.3 millimeters will be a little harder. You can pinch it and you'll know. You also know that this is a little harder. Then 0.25 millimeters will be a little softer. Why do we configure it this way? It is because of 0.25 millimeters. This spring will sound better, and then this 0.3 millimeters will be a little harder. That is 0.25, although his voice is good, he is more turned. You don't feel like you have a hand when you push it, so add a 0.3 inches. If you do this, you will be on his side. He can have a good sound, and then he can have a better feel. So this is our factory configuration. Then everyone. You can play according to this configuration. Okay, let's take a look at how to pretend it first. First of all, let's pinch it. This one is 0.3 millimeters, let's put it aside. Then this one is softer, it should be 0.25 millimeters to this side. Then put the beads on it, and then put this in the other way around. At this time, you need to hold it down and then squeeze it in. It is a process of solving it, and you will know when you get started. In fact, it is still a very simple process. Okay. After entering, we first put the screws on it. Next, let's install this side. The same 0.25, 0.3, and then put the table on it. Come forward, then hold yourself in. Okay. Because there's a magnet here, it might interfere with your screw. So try to push it in. Let it not be near this bead hole and this screw hole in this bead groove. Okay. Then let's install it now. Okay, but the next thing is, let's talk about what's in this box. First there is an identity tag and then there are various accessories in it. A lot of beads and springs and the like. This one has PM beads and stainless steel beads, and this one is a 3x5x0.3 cash spring. This one has a spring-loaded top. There is also a spring of egg yolk silicon beads 0.3x3x4. There are also glass beads and black Kuan beads here. There is also a spring of 0.25x3x3.5. The words in this are basically the process of using all players. The various accessories that may be used in that includes all kinds of cash, all lengths of springs. There are also beads of different materials, we have all taken it into account. There is also a spring top. What is the spring top for? Spring top. It is something sandwiched between this bead and the spring. It can add a little bit of tightness. At the same time, it can also play a slight lubricating role. It is possible to make this bead. Do not come into direct contact with this spring. If it is rolled up, it will have less friction, you can try it. This still has a little effect. Of course, the turtle pig will be a little harder. Its function is to compare HUPOM beads. Its main function is actually to be silent. It will be a little quieter. Then the black steel beads said, it will sound better. There are also stainless steel beads and the sound is okay. And then there are glass beads. Glass beads are a core accessory for tinting sound. It will make the sound even better. What follows is that I'll talk about how to debug this push row. In fact, when adjusting, it must have its own logic and order. First of all, we have to adjust its feel soft and hard. That is, after you put the spring in it, don't get the screw right away. You can close it first and then try the feel. Just try it like this, don't screw it, just try it like this. Can you tell what one of his feelings looks like? If you think it's okay, straighten the screws again. If you don't think it's possible, then keep changing. If you think his hand is hard, then you exchange it for 0.25 cash stalls. If you think it's turning, change it to a 0.3 or 0.4 spring. If you feel loose, change to a 5mm long one. If you feel tight, you can change the 4mm and lower length. The idea of spring debugging is probably like this. So when your spring is found, adjust the sound. If you think the sound is quiet, change the glass beads. If you think it's loud, you change the palm beads. This nailing sound is actually springed, determined by the material. For example, the spring made of rust steel will be better than the spring of spring steel as a whole. When you buy springs, try to choose springs made of rust-free steel. It is the springs that we have configured from the factory, which are basically Rueda springs. The spring of Rueda is still relatively famous in this circle. It is basically the mechanical leg plate of each family. They will all use this Rueda spring, and his feel is relatively elastic. Then, his voice is also relatively nice. If you need this accessory superfluous, you can go to Taobao to search for this Rueda stall flower to buy. The price is about 6 yuan for 10 pieces, which is still a bit expensive. Okay, then until your feel and sound are almost tuned. At this time, you will screw on the screws again. Push it twice more to see the overall feeling. Is his hand comfortable and then the sound is not suitable? If you don't think it's okay, think about how to adjust him. How to improve him. So if you want to play in this office setting, you can use this Jiggly version, which is this intensive version. In other words, you can add this palm bead to reduce his voice. If you don't have enough palm beads, you can use Tevil Dragon Balls again. Tevil Dragon Ball will be a little quieter. If you play mechanical push cards, that's how it was slowly explored. Go and take your time to go. Study it, then go combine it. There are many different combinations, and it feels very different. So everyone goes to play shoe pushing. He has his own different feel and his way of playing. Then I hope everyone can summarize their own experience in the process of playing. Next, let's talk about the piano push. Recently, some new cases have been introduced, as well as the material of its inner lining. Then you can see that there are 4 different materials here. This is an ordinary rusty steel, and this is a normal PI material. These 2 materials are now on sale. The PI is limited to 50 pieces. It is basically sold out now. If the thin steel continues, there are probably dozens of sets. You can take a look. Later, he came out with 2 more models. It is this high alloy and high size material. So these 2 words. It is not sold yet, so if you have a high alloy model, all of them are polished and blackened and the supply weight is 96 grams. The grip is very comfortable, Then the middle layer and the inner panel are all closing mirrors, and the middle layer is also closing mirrors. Then, the board is also a closing mirror. Therefore, the overall sense of unity is relatively strong. The feeling of the mirror is very warm, and then the sound will be crisper. Of course, it depends on how you match his springs and beads. Then the next step is the shell of this tall horse. It shows a raindrop pattern, and made a high-temperature baking color. The color is very bright, and you can see it if you look closely. There are silver quicksand-like lines in the grain. The sense of layering is very rich. This appearance is really good. Then there is this feeling of layer by layer on the side. Then the middle layer should use a middle layer of the alloy. Then I add this inner plate of fiberglass in the middle of this one. This combination is quite good looking, and the voice is very fixed. Then the next thing is the version of various materials. First of all, our initial stainless steel material. Stainless steel is a relatively decent material. It is mainly matched with the stainless steel. It will be more unified. It will look better. Then its sound and feel are relatively decent. Then I think it's pretty good as an initial configuration. And he is a little more wear resistant. Then there are the PI boards. The PI board is actually a limited edition, and the later stage should be. If it is not thicker, it will feel more brittle. And it has a bit of elasticity. If it is paired with a disdainful steel shell, very recommended. Recently, 2 new internal versions have been launched, Teflon and Black POM respectively. Then these two are more distinctive. If it is like the POM model, the sound is very full, crisp and very smooth. Can you listen to this sound? So I think the characteristic of POM is that it is very smooth, and the sound is relatively brittle. That feeling, especially this intensive version, the sound is very clear. He was very coherent. It's very clear that it's not like this PI is a bit elastic. Then the elasticity of POM will be a little worse. But it's really very smooth. I highly recommend you to try it. And Teflon board surprised me very much. You can listen to this voice first. The feel of this Teflon is smooth and a little soft. This feel, in fact, is very similar to the one I received recently from the Rhythm Push card. This Rhythm Push card, then you can listen to the feeling of it pushing. Isn't it still similar? Because the stall like the Green Cave also uses this board of the special auxiliary dragon. So it's actually very smooth. But now there are actually a lot of push card linings. He likes them all. I used this Teflon lining. It's because this Teflon is really silky and comfortable. Especially his paragraph board, his voice is good, and then the feel is good. I strongly recommend that you buy a Teflon paragraph board and try it. It will definitely unlock the feel of your new piano. The last word is the inner version of this fiberglass. Of course, it's still a sample, I'm just making a demonstration use. If it is fiberglass, its friction will be greater. At the same time, its hardness will be very high. So its sound is actually all materials. The biggest jingle inside is very obvious. Right, this sound is quite nice. So I will put it in this shell of the horse. I just think it's quite beautiful to match like this. It's the same color as this jade. Plus the surface of this special material like Gauma. Very good looking. Very high-end, of course, although his voice is more pleasant. But I personally think that his feel is still there. Not as smooth as a Teflon one. Then Silky Plectrum will actually be more inclined to listen to the sound. And this Teflon's words. I just tend to play with this feel. Of course, I really recommend everyone to play Tefu Dragon. Really recommended. Okay, so to summarize my personal recommended configuration, Still thin rust steel shell plus PI inner plate. There is also a disdainful light shell, plus the Teflon inner version. Now it can actually be directly mixed and matched. You can choose your favorite configuration to buy. For example, on my Taobao store, you want to buy a disdainful light shell and a leather-pressed inner version. You can add the non-Kong shell and the non-prohibited Kong to the shopping cart. Add 2 more PI inner plates and then just settle in the shopping cart. If you want to write a paragraph, one side is dense. Choose a PI paragraph version. Then choose a PI intensive version. Finally, unified settlement is fine. The same goes for other configurations. How do you match it? In addition, the outer and middle parts of the shell and the middle are the same. In fact, the supporting ones cannot be replaced. If you want to change to other middle places, you have to buy them separately. Well, that's all for this video. If you like this piano pusher, please tell me with 1 click and 3 in a row. See you next time, bye bye.